Welcome to the W-Sentinel S-Series Live. I'm your host Paul Chin, Senior Product Line Manager for the W-Sentinel family of products. We made a couple of how-to videos transitioning from 2012 R2 Essentials to 2012 R2 Standard. After that, we received emails asking, how do I migrate from an older server, maybe a SBS server, up to the latest Windows Server 2012 R2 Essentials? We're going to show you how to do that today with the W-Sentinel S-Series.
The first thing you're going to want to do is open up a browser and peruse the Technet article. You can see the address here, or you can search for migrating previous versions of Windows servers to R2 Essentials. This article should serve as your primary resource during your migration. This video is just a supplement. The next thing we want to highlight is all the older servers that will be covered in this migration. Windows Server 2012 all the way down to Small Business Server 2003. Lastly, our servers come with R2 Essentials, which means it's for 25 users and 50 devices. But if you transitioned our product up to R2 Standard, you can actually support more devices as a primary domain controller. Now, we're not going to cover every single step in this video. What we want you to pay attention to are the definitions used by Microsoft. We're going to use the source server for the old server and destination server for our S-Series Sentinel by using the same definition. And also, it turns out the most key steps are step 1, 2, and 2. We can successfully get you over some of the common obstacles to a successful migration. Let's quickly summarize the 8 steps for migrating. In step 1, we're going to back up and prep your current server. In step 2, we're actually installing the W-Sentinel S-Series onto the network. Step 3 through 5 is all about moving source to destination, and by step 6, you'll have your W-Sentinel become the primary server. Now let's take a look at step 1. Step 1 is the activity of making sure that your current server is up to date with the latest service pack and security. Again, all these steps are very manual. You'll also want to back up your server. For the older OSs, the Essentials and SBS, there's a way to do backup server as a feature. If you used Windows Server to be your primary domain controller, for example, Windows Server 2012, you'll have to back up the server using other mechanisms. Here I'm demonstrating how in Windows Server 2012 they actually have a Windows Server backup. It's built in as a feature instead of as a default like you saw with 2012 R2 Essentials. Now you can use other third-party tools. We know StorageCraft works fine, Cronus as well. We leave that up to your partner. The main point for step 1 is to make sure that you back up your primary server, and as we make the transition, if something goes wrong, you can recover quickly. Here you can see that the feature has been added, and when I hit on the task, you can see that we can launch the Windows Server backup. And I'm not going to go through the manual steps of backing up the server. You'll want to take these steps and continue to do all the things that's in the Technet article for step 1. Now in step 2, this is the most involved part. The first thing you're going to do is actually install the W-Sentinel S-Series server. So step 1 of step 2 is actually installing a destination server. We actually provide a YouTube video on how to install that, but it coincides with what you see in the Technet article. So you can look at the YouTube video on the S-Series introduction to see more about that. The next thing you're going to want to do is actually start to create a replica domain controller out of the destination server. And this is a very involved process. Again, we won't go through every step, but at a high level, what's happening is you're moving your users and your domain and making a replica on our W-Sentinel S-Series server. The last major part of step 2 is to actually convert your destination server into one of the flexible single master operations. So basically, you do have to launch a command prompt and run as an administrator, and then type in the commands that were provided in the Technet article. By this time, you're actually creating your destination server and your source server as a single master. You have 21 days to actually make this transfer, which should give you adequate time to make sure your line of business applications and all of that have moved over, even as you go through steps 3 through 5. Both servers can coexist over the 21-day period. What we're showing you here is the command line that you can type to check that the FSMO has transferred correctly. As I mentioned earlier in the video, step 1 and 2 are the most involved. Make sure you follow everything to a T. But as you get into step 3, we're actually looking at how to join the computers to a new server. And the recommendation is to actually uninstall the connector software that are on the local computer and actually reinstall it and point it to the new server. And you're going to be reinstalling the connector from the new WD Sentinel SSeries server. In step 4 and 5, they cover how to move data and settings from the source server to the destination server. Again, follow the Technet article, and it's self-explanatory. By the time you get to step 6, you're going to want to make sure that all your applications that you want to run has been moved over to the primary server, the WD Sentinel SSeries. You want to do all your testing, because once you get done with step 6, you're actually demoting the source server, and now your primary server is the new WD Sentinel SSeries running Windows Server 2012 R2 Essentials. Your DS5100 or DS6100 has completely replaced your old server, and now you're able to do things like integrate with Office 365 and bring in new features. Step 7 and 8 is all about cleanup and mapping users to computers and doing the best practices analyzer. These images are great for a visual cue, but again, use the Microsoft Technet article as the Bible when you do your migration to Windows Server 2012 R2 Essentials using the WD Sentinel SSeries. On YouTube, you can learn more about the WD Sentinel SSeries by typing in the playlist, and you can contact us at SMB Storage or SMB Presales at WDC.com. Join us next time. Thank you.